welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the remainder of Group B of HomeStory Cup 25, Day 1, the round robin group stage. We're here towards the tail end of Group B, only a couple of matches left. Now it's getting late in the land of Europe. I think it's almost 10 p.m. in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. And we're here to wrap up with some of these matches here. Only a couple of rounds left, and we're diving into our TvP. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our yellow Protoss player from the land of Czechia representing Team Roddy. It is Sebesdes. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Cloud9. It is GuMiho. Here we go. Of course, GuMiho coming in as one of the few Korean players invited to the event. And oh boy, GuMiho is a wild one. Bear that in mind. GuMiho is one of the most unpredictable and chaotic Terran players in the world, not just in South Korea. And GuMiho does things his own way. GuMiho even plays mech against Protoss. He did it against Showtime at Stars War 11, and likewise did so recently in the ESL Open Cups as well. So GuMiho is willing to mix it up. He can play bio, he can play mech. He does his own thing and starts off with a proxy right outside the main. And the question becomes, is this just proxy Reaper, or do we try to float into the main and go proxy Marauder, which GuMiho has done in the past? That's the question. That is the question. Of course, Sebesdes, this is his first big offline event of this size, of this caliber. Sebesdes has been doing quite well for himself. He's been taking maps, and we're putting in. We're going for the Marauder. We're going for the Marauders. It is barely out of range. It's something you can do on this map. It is barely big enough where the main Nexus does not have enough vision. Show us the Tech Lab. Tech Lab is on the way. Proxy Marauder is upon us. Now, the way this works, you want to build up your Marauders, build up towards 2-3 Marauders in the corner of the base, and then you pull the trigger. Then you go for the minerals. You go for the workers. Meanwhile, across the map, Probe Scout comes in, and the probe confirms the Rax is missing. The Rax is not where it needs to be. The problem in this matchup, well, the problem is that in this matchup, you can go for a proxy Rax at the natural. Sorry, you can go for a fake proxy Rax at the natural. You can throw it down to your third base. You can throw it down further back in your main. It is not uncommon to go for a fake proxy, so Sebesdes still has to piece this together. Sebesdes still has a scout, and so far has yet to confirm. Oh boy, Sebesdes still not yet aware of what's going on. Adept will check the ramp. Oh, sorry, we'll check the cliff face here. The Reaper cliff is going to head out for a scout, but does not check the main. Ay. We're checking the low ground. This is where a proxy would be, and it was there, but no longer. No longer, as it did float into the main base. Sebesdes is checking. We're checking here towards the left-hand side, looking for a proxy Rax or even a proxy factory location. We're checking the fourth base locations. We're checking the thirds. But we did not check the main. We already have 2 Marauders. Concussive Shell is done. Soon to be a 3rd Marauder in the main base. I mean, we're looking. We know it's somewhere. Up. And we're on patrol. We're on patrol. We're looking. We're checking. We have a shield battery at the natural, but no shield battery in the main. The Marauders, they reveal themselves. Probes are going down. Boys are being pulled. And how many probe kills can we get? So far, 4, 5, 6. Soon to be 7 probe kills already. And that's the goal for this proxy, is to get as many probes as possible. It's going to be 9, 12, oh my god, 12 workers, and the Hellion gets into the main. 14, 15 probes go down. Ay. We will clean this up, but this is game-ending damage. This is just a wild start here from GuMiho. Proxy Marauder in the main base. You don't often see this, and Sebesdes knew that there was a proxy, knew that the Rax was somewhere. We were checking desperately at every other location. Alas, it was in his main, the last place he checked, and with that, GuMiho has a massive lead. GuMiho is expanding back at home, even makes 1 more Marauder, going for the Stalker. What about? And does not get it, thankfully. Stalker does survive. This proxy will eventually be shut down, but again, back at home, we're getting into our 1-1-1 setup. We're getting into Reactor to Cyclone production, Starport on the way. Cyclones are rattling across the map. Rax is forced to float up. GuMiho is just rallying on over. Again, barely any Koreans in. We'll talk about it after the match. I was gonna go on a bit of a tirade about the groups and about the players that are, of course, arriving and where GuMiho falls between them, or where he stands amongst them. But we kicked off with the proxy, so we had to just get into it. We couldn't talk about the players. Couldn't do it. As we just continue to rally Cyclones across the map, but Liberator as well. Hyper aggression here from GuMiho. And back across the map. Unfortunately, Sebesdes is still stabilizing. He's still trying to stabilize, trying to resaturate his bases. Does have the shield battery at least. Blink is almost done in 10 seconds. Blink is almost done. And how many Cyclones do we have? We have 4 Cyclones and a Liberator. Cyclones against a low gateway count can really deal with and can really snowball against these Stalkers, these Adepts. We'll see how GuMiho pieces this all together. Liberator towards the main. And we've built up to 6 Cyclones here outside of the natural. Here we go. We're pulling the trigger. Liberator making its way in. Sebesdes is in position. Sebesdes will shut this down. At the same time, here come the Cyclones going for the third. And we're going to force a cancel. That's going to be a cancel on the next. It's going to be just barely a cancel in time, thankfully. We do get the cancel. Meanwhile, Liberator got shot down in the main, didn't get much damage done. So far, good defense here by Sebesdes, but he is denied the third. Will now expand. Across the map, Adept shades in, and we do deny some mining time. We can get potentially a worker kill. But it does take 3 shots. We get 1 SCV across the map. Cyclones, they do race back home, built up towards 8 Cyclones. Behind this, getting into bioplay. Tank production, 3-rack setup. Sebesdes is moving out. Sebesdes has potential with Blink. Has potential to shut down some of these Cyclones. But pushing up the ramp is not going to be easy. We have the concave, and we have to back off. You have to respect the positioning there of GuMiho. Behind this, just 2-gate Blink. Third on the way. Immortal production as well. Okay, there is still micro potential here with Sebesdes' main army, and we do chip away at the Cyclones. Not losing anything yet. But we catch the Observer. Observer goes down. We're building up our bio count. Medevac, Stim is done. Combat shield's on the way. Stim not prioritized. Not yet. As GuMiho makes his way towards the third. Stalker's trying to keep up. Oh, the locals are real! Oh, we catch the Stalkers. 2 Stalkers go down. Did I say 2? 4 Stalkers go down. And the Cyclones, they go toe-to-toe with those Stalkers. Another Stalker gets picked off. The Immortal has arrived. Sebesdes is going to be able to force back the army. GuMiho does retreat. There was 5 Stalkers for 2 Cyclones. A worthwhile trade here for GuMiho. Very worthwhile. He backs off. He can repair. He can just repair. Heal up his Cyclones. Tank on the high ground. Oof. We'll hold the line. Behind the Sebesdes getting to his third base is getting saturated and is catching up in workers. The problem is that we're spending so much money rebuilding probes that our army and our tech is suffering as a result. But we do get on top of the CC. Not a bad cancel. Not a bad cancel on the third. Meanwhile, GuMiho on sieges moves out. Cyclones have been topped up for the most part. For the most part, they are topped up. Moving out once again. This army designed to kill the third. Stalkers attempting to catch reinforcements. They catch a Marine. They do manage to get a Marine, but the army just keeps on pushing. Shield batteries are not ready. Shield batteries are just barely not ready in time. We're getting within range. Tanks, they siege up. We have Cyclones to defend the flank. We have Marines to push forward to the third. Even without Stim. GG gets called. It's just too much to handle, and GuMiho takes game number 1. GG. Again, a very, very solid game 1 there at a GuMiho. Oh, but very quickly, I do have to set up for game number 2. 1 moment. So I'm just making the lobbies. But yeah, it was an unfortunate stuff with Sebesdes. It was a proxy marauder in the main base, and we knew that something was wrong. We knew that something was amiss. We knew that something was amiss there, and alas, unfortunately, it just took a little bit too long to realize what was going on to scout. I mean, we scouted when the marauders revealed themselves, and we lost too many probes at the start of the game. And with that, GuMiho was in control of that first game, and now we're getting into game 2, going to be loading into Alkyone as our second game of choice. Here we go. You can hear the beeps. We're getting into that second game. Can we bounce back and force the ace smash, or will GuMiho take it all and claim it all? Again, I was gonna refer to the players here, but yeah, very few Koreans. Very few Koreans in this event. Only 2 were invited. It was GuMiho and Ryung. Ryung had a very, very strong showing in Group A, but did end up falling to Clem and Mana, so Ryung is out of the tournament. There's only 1 Korean left, and that is GuMiho. Korea usually just a set of people or set of players that really do dominate the scene and dominate the region, but alas, only a handful of them have ventured over to HomeStory Cup, only 2, and now there's only 1 left. On the other side of the map, as we're getting into Alkyone and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkyone, we have our yellow Protoss. Our yellow Protoss player representing Team Roddy from the land of Czechia. It is Sebesdes. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Cloud9. It is GuMiho. I would say that GuMiho is one of the favorites to win the entire tournament. He is up there alongside, I would say, Clem and Showtime and Skillus. They would be kind of the top players here in the event to win it all. A lot of the other would-be top Zerg players are not available here for this event, unfortunately. For those that are curious, Rainer's in Korea, Cyril's in the military, Lambo's on vacation. A lot of the Korean players were busy with GSL. For those who don't know, GSL was last night. So the Korean players competing in GSL obviously wouldn't be able to travel to Europe and to Germany and also compete in GSL at the same time. So I'm sure a lot of the players that would have otherwise been invited were unavailable. So I know that earlier there was some people asking about, yo, where are some of these other Koreans? We're used to seeing, at least a handful more Koreans in this event. Well, they're not quite here. Fortunately, not available, but an interesting opener. GuMiho going for a single gas opener, but into a Rax factory. Okay, you have my attention. Meanwhile, Sebesdes going for a Gate Cyber Expand. Standard setup here at a Sebesdes. But my eyes are on GuMiho. Marine gaining map control, shuts down the probe, moves out towards that Zelnaga. And the SCV moves out as well. Are we going for a proxy starport? Factory is done. Show us the add-on. No add-on. Hellion is on the way. As this isn't quite the same proxy that we had in game 1, but a proxy nonetheless. Yeah, proxy starport coming out from GuMiho. Now, I'm curious, is this going to be for a medevac to drop into the main or a liberator to harass and try to harass the main base and the natural at the same time? Adept moves out. GuMiho in position. Does get a lot of hits in here against that Adept, avoiding some shots as well. The Adept does get into that Fog of War. Oh my god. Some chaotic micro there, but GuMiho does shut down the Adept. Did have control of the Zelnaga, does move out. Meanwhile, behind this, additional Hellions are on the way. Starport is finishing. And show us what you got. Is it the Lib or is it the Medevac? What do you have for us? How many Hellions do we have? 2. Soon to be 3. 3 Hellions is going to be enough. Yeah, we're still waiting for our first unit of choice. Meanwhile, with the Twilight Council opener, I assumed it was going to be for Blink, but no, it's going to be a Dark Shrine. Sebesdes spicing things up. Now, it is the medevac for the drop into the main. Meanwhile, Dark Shrine on the way. So far, I believe, unscouted. How the turns do table. So, both players being aggressive in their own ways. For those curious, 3 Hellions, 1-shot probes. So, 4 Hellions are ideal in case you lose 1. And, there we go. We do now have a 4th Hellion moving out across the map. We won't leave you behind. 4th Hellion is loaded in. And now we're headed for the mineral line. We're headed for the main. Liberator follow-up. ¿Por qué no los dos? Why not both? The drop and the Liberator as well. We're going for the main base. The main looking that much more exposed. We can see the GuMiho, he distracts with the Reaper, and then he dives in with the medevac. Oh, barely out of vision. Yeah, no vision in the main base for the drop. We do dive in, and probes are going down. Oof. 8 workers, some of them line up. They line up towards the end. 11 probes full. We're not done, and nowhere close. Hot pickup micro there out of GuMiho, saving all 4 Hellions. There we go. 1 Hellion goes down. We still have 3. We're down to 2. It's going to take 2 volleys. And he gets 15 worker kills, almost a mineral line. Oh my god, we're not 17! Once again, lining up the shots. 20 probes go down. Oh my god, and we're not done. Here comes that Liberator towards the natural. Back at home, DTs have revealed themselves. They're getting some damage done. A mule goes down, busting into the main. Do we have a scan? There we go. Do have the DT counterattack, but we have a scan in the main. The DT escapes. Oh, barely. Barely DT. Oh my god. Oh my no. Calm down. Okay, DT's on hold position. Does escape. We have a DT at the natural, DT in the main base. Only a one base saturated, one base mining at a GuMiho. And we are getting SCV kills. There we go. Second scan in the main, but we still have a DT. As we stumble within range and we lose the second DT. But here comes a third. And a prism. So we can be a little bit more cavalier. The missile turret has completed. So the DT has to respect that turret. Meanwhile, across the map, looks like the Liberator was dealt with. And I would say GuMiho still has the edge, still has a lead. It's supply blocked. Ooh, a pretty big supply block here for GuMiho. Cannot make anything. Add-ons under fire. Another turret on the way to leapfrog forward. We have a scan. Clean up the DT. And as the dust settles, we have Sebesdes still down in workers. GuMiho can now main out over towards the natural base. Make additional turrets. But still stuck on one base. But the main army, I mean, Stim is almost done. We have 2 tanks. We have Bio. Meanwhile, back at home, what are we working with? Very little. This is our army. 1 Adept and 1 Stalker. Taking a bit of a risk here. We're taking a third. We're expanding. We're cutting corners. We need to catch up. DT waddles in. Does spot the move out. Oh! Scan does not catch the Dark Templar. We're back off in time. Head towards the main. Remember, there is a second turret in the main base. Oh, and a third turret has finished. The Dark Templar goes down. And here comes the drop across the map. We have 2 tanks. And we have Marines. Full medevac Marine coming in. Going for the third. Going for the pylon. What do we go for? The Artosis pylon. Not like this. Just the one pylon in the main. And GG gets called. We just don't have an army. We don't have an answer for this push. And GuMiho will take the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Sebesdes up against GuMiho. GuMiho, of course, being one of the favorites for the entire tournament, is a very strong heavy hitter here in Group B. Was not going to be an easy one, and it was a very chaotic series. It was a very GuMiho series. Like, GuMiho, he's not the most standard of players. He can play standard. He can. He often doesn't. He often does proxy and cheese, and he comes up with his own builds. He comes up with his own play styles as well. That's why we love GuMiho, right? GuMiho is always a lot of fun to watch because he does his own thing, right? He does approach things in his own way. So we got a lot of love for GuMiho, but GG, well played. Sebesdes does bow out here, but we still have another round ahead of us. Let's find out where exactly we are. Let us find out.